Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of my wonderful and beautiful little subscribers out there. And how I love you all so, and I hope that you're all super duper well, super duper wonderful, and super duper delicious, and that life is treating you most deliciously wherever you are in the world. So, yeah, it's 20 to 12 in the morning, my delicious babies, in our old England. There's a tiny bit of blue sky. An awful lot of white and grey, not so nice, fluffy clouds. It is rather windy, but it's nice, if you know what I mean. My delicious babies, okay. The sun's been coming in and out. And that's where the forecast, my delicious babies, now then. It's all right, please take the notice. I've just not long come and brought all the bins in. Okay, my delicious babies, I wash my hands, clearly. Okay, my delicious babies, now then. So 3, 2, 1, my juicy little lights. Thank you, little lights. You're delicious and bright, yes. Right, what have I got to say, my delicious little babies? Yeah. I think, what it is, what I fail to understand, is you can get, I don't know, I suppose there's thousands of uploaders, isn't there, my delicious babies? And, with some of these uploaders, see, I just see that for many, okay, especially the ones with the, super duper high numbers, you know what I mean, my delicious babies, it's like, how can I put it? It's like they work for a monster. Do you know what I mean, my delicious babies? Yes. And for myself now, I'm having to, come out to it because you don't know what to believe now. I mean, I was even listening to our lovely, and with anybody not in that way, our lovely Maxigan this morning on the Crow House on Odyssey. My delicious little babies, Odyssee. Should anybody have any form of an interest. And his video, I think, is about an hour and a half long, my delicious little babies. Anyway, and, he was saying that, bless him, his sleeping patterns are all over the place. He never did a video for a couple of weeks, because he's been travelling a lot. So what's happening is it's catching up with his body, my delicious babies, okay? But what he was saying was, bless him, he's not even sure himself, really, words to effect, not his exact words, but what his place here is himself, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? Okay, bless him. And he said he's getting fed up of moving around. Do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies? Okay, but for myself, there we are. I enjoy listening to dear Maxigan, bless him. Do you understand what I mean? Yes. And I felt. For myself, I felt, sorry listening to him. Do you understand what I mean? Okay. He said he's getting too old for all this travelling, because he's in different places so often. But what he does his best to give the information out, to whoever is kind enough to be subscribed to him or to listen to him. Do you know what I mean? And, I just enjoy listening to his videos. But, yeah, because the way I see it is, right, there's so much what I feel, as much as we've got some nice things happening in the world, my delicious little babies, we've also got a lot of nastiness now. A lot of nastiness, there we are, a lot of greed. I mean, yeah, let me just give you an example. I never wrote it down, my delicious babies. How many subscribers did this one have? Was it 199,000 subscribers, my delicious babies? And what it was showing, it was in about 3 minutes, 31 seconds, something like this now then, come up on my feed. And I've just seen it, and I thought, well, there's just no need for that. And there was, it was a little, was it TikTok video, where you've got a Palestinian father, and he's got his little baby, like strapped to his back, and he's walking in the hills and everything. And his little baby, bless. Oh, such a beautiful little video. You know what I mean? And you can hear the little baby, you know, and bobbing up and down, you know, and laughing, and do you know what I mean? And the dad is, you know, really enjoying the walk with his little baby. And then somebody puts, what was it? I hope, what was it? Oh, I may not be able to get the exact words, but something like this, along these lines. I hope that they both, meaning father and baby, fall off a cliff, kill two birds with one stone. And who supposedly is the, you know, the one who put that is called, what's his name? Or is it Jesus Jim or something? And what this uploader on YouTube was doing was showing this video. So it wasn't himself that said it, because he thought it was damn well disgusting. Just like I personally, reading that, found it absolutely disgusting. But he calls himself Jesus. Is it Jesus Jim? I'm pretty sure it was Jesus Jim. Jesus Jim. Well, I'm pretty sure that Jesus would not have liked, you know, being a healer and everything. I'm pretty sure that that he would not have liked those type of words there now, mad little babies. But apparently this, what's his name, Jesus Jim, is a part of the Make America Great Again. Mad delicious little babies, part of them. But what's my point to what I'm saying? How damn well effing disgusting, man. That's just a father and a baby just walking, you know, he's just walking with his little baby on his back, not doing no harm. They both got the little hats on, the coats on. You know, I didn't mean it that way. What I meant was it must have been maybe a colder day or something, because they were wrapped up warm. Well, it wasn't doing any harm to anybody. So I've been asked to now and put a comment like that, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? If you look at it, I mean, that could have been, yeah, I mean, obviously it wouldn't be, you know what I mean? Because I'm talking about decades ago. But what I'm saying is that would be like somebody, you know, typing that out to myself, walking with my little, one of my little baby daughters on my back, do you know what I mean? Not that I'm inciting anything, my delicious little babies, but I'd like to meet your man there, do you know what I mean? If anybody was ever to put anything like that. It's damn rank and it's damn disgusting, man. And I do not feel that that is the way that anybody should behave in that manner. But can you say? But like I said, we've seen a lot of, very sadly, to do with some, you know, somebody's nationality or somebody's colour. It should never be like this, my delicious little babies, okay? And that's just my feelings. And then I've seen somebody today, you know, with the vehicle, my delicious little babies, and I took a look and it said, Jesus loves us. You know, somebody had put, you know, Jesus loves us, my delicious little babies. So who I spoke to right now then said, pointed to it, said, we're not allowed to say that word in this country. I said, yes, I know. I mean, I prefer creator, or like I said, or I prefer my own giddy God within, meaning my own, there we are, saviour. Do you understand what I mean, Martin? Okay? But yeah. And then I spoke to somebody else and they said, you know, we feel like a minority in our own country. Do you see what I mean, Martin babies? And by the way, I mean, for myself, colour, it's not about colour. But who I was talking to was not white. Okay, Martin babies, okay? So, you know, and I've had other conversations. I spoke to somebody the other day when I was out and about walking. And he said, you know, getting fed up with the migrants coming in. Do you see what I mean, Martin babies? But the point is, as I said, you know, which I did, I said this morning and I said the other day, I said, but if we look at it, for the majority of us, I said, we come from a migrant. Do you know what I mean? Mad Delish Little Babies, okay? The only difference is that this has been, and I know that ones may not like what I've got to say, but as far as I'm concerned, you know, my dear giddy God, you know, speak the truth, isn't it? That at the end of the day, the fact is it's been highlighted. Do you see what I mean, Mad Delish Little Babies, okay? So, but when I said that the other day, you know, today, you know, I've got to get on now, you know, I've got to do my work. Do you see what I mean, Mad Delish Little Babies, okay? That's what I'm saying to you. Do you see? Whereas I said something else this morning, and then they were going, yes. Do you see what I'm saying? So this is what I'm saying. It's different views of how mankind feel on a particular topic or situation to do with what's going on in our country. I looked at I haven't looked on there for a long time. Our lovely not in that way, our lovely Neil space McCoy space Ward WARD on YouTube. Mad Delish Little Babies is up to 510,000 subscribers. Mad Delish Little Babies. I used to advertise him rather regularly, actually, Mad Delish Little Babies, okay? Because he's excellent with his little videos, bless him. Well, they all are, you know, whoever I mention, you know, especially on a regular basis. Anyway, Mad Delish Little Babies. And he happened to be visiting our Brummyland, Mad Delicious Little Babies. I forgot to say this yesterday because I'd only seen his video a couple of a day ago. But anyway, and yeah, I'll tell you where he was filming. He was filming, you know, for anybody who lives in Birmingham, Mad Delicious Little Babies, you would know Coventry Road. Anybody would know the Coventry Road, Mad Delicious Little Babies, okay? And he was, you know, he was filming there. And poor little Neil, bless him, you know, he was shocked to high heaven, you know, to see all the rubbish. Well, to be honest with you, I mean, we all know over there from decades ago, and I totally agree. I was watching it. It wasn't a long video. It was about, was it about over 8 minutes or something? And, you know, it never used to look like that, Mad Delish Little Babies, okay? But here's the thing. I mean, we get back to it again, don't we, Mad Delish Little Babies, okay? Maybe ones are just sick and tired, you know, that has to pay ka-ching, ching, ching, all this change, yes? And then, you know, things are just not getting done, are they, Mad Delish Little Babies, okay? However, and it's not very nice to have to live like that. No, it is not. It isn't for anybody. You know, we've all had binge strikes. But what I'm saying is that this could be another way as well, is that it's like, you know, like they say, oh, this particular area, that particular area. Do you see what I mean, okay? And so something came into my noddle the other day, and I thought to myself, yeah, it could be that as well. You know, like where they want one set, if, you know, if you live in different areas, to say, oh, yeah, you know, don't go over there. It's, you know, a dirty place, you know, and whoever. Do you understand what I mean? So you have to look at the, there we are, there could be a method here. There we are, Mad Delicious Little Babies. Do you see what I mean, okay? Like I said, I'm always open to looking at different angles. There we are, different angles. Do you see what I mean? But yeah, I mean, it's terrible. But like I said, I mean, you know, we could just, like I said, you know, if they wanted to continue to do that, then the only best way I feel with the areas, bless them, who are going through this at the moment, is to, like I said, hire a van. Do you know what I mean? Like each, you know, pay a bit and then, you know, organise it with, there we are, with the tip. Do you see what I mean? Or the place where you take the rubbish to. You see what I mean? But then they could then say, okay, if they wanted to, you know, I'm just saying, I'm just, you know, just throwing out thoughts here, Mad Delish Little Babies. But then they could then say, well, we're paying X, Y, and Z, not meaning that in a disrespectful manner. We're paying X, Y, and Z to come and take our, you know, all our rubbish away, you know, plus anything larger items or something like this now then, as well as household rubbish, you know, two like separate vans. So therefore we do not feel the need to pay the council tax. So they could say that, couldn't they? Because if enough, there we are, did that, then really the councils then, have got to do something about it. Because they would rather the change, ka-ching, going into their skyrockets, as we've seen over the decades, Martelish little babies, than going into a man with a van's skyrocket. Do you see what I mean? Martelish little babies, Kai. So it's just another way that we are to force that we are somebody's hand. Do you see what I mean? Okay, but anyway, we could talk about that. I mean, I love little cows. It's just figure of speech. Okay, my little babies, I love their little saucer eyes. You know, we could talk about that till the cows come home, but unless, you know, they were to get together as a community, because that's what it's about. It's about community gelling together. Then, unfortunately, there we are. It's just going to continue to pile up then, isn't it? And stink out the roads. And I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't want to be walking down my road, you know, and you see all rubbish and all this dirtiness now. No. Do you know what I mean? You only have to go up to our shopping centre where the bins were overflowing. I mean, the stench was enough to make you feeling like projecting marvelous little babies, you know what I mean? So we got it everywhere. Do you understand what I'm saying? But we cannot blame, we go back to this again, the bin men or the bin women. You cannot blame them because they're working for the council. Do you see what I mean, marvelous little babies? And this is so we just get back to it again. It's a circle, circle, circle. Do you see what I mean? But as I always believe, there's many things that can be done. Do you say? But like I said, that's a good excuse not to pay your council tax. So I'm not being nasty with what I'm saying. I'm just saying if they can justify and say fill in the potholes and do everything what they claim to do, okay, then nobody should have a problem paying it. But if things now are not getting done what they should be doing, well, why are one's paying? So I should imagine in the different areas, Mardelicious Little Babies, because we've got lots of different areas in our Brummyland, Mardelicious Little Babies, just like anywhere else, you know. But, you know, I should imagine you can understand, you know, that they're in a community feeling rather paid off, Mardelicious Little Babies, you know what I mean? You can understand it, but like I say, you know, there is a solution to this problem. Do you see what I mean? And if they all keep the receipts and whoever's driving the vans, do you understand what I'm saying? And they just get one of these little petty cash books. You know, what we used to use decades ago. It used to be called petty cash, didn't it? You know, or these, what they called? They were red books. You know, with white sheets, paper, Mardelicious Little Babies, okay? Then you just say what you've done. And that's it, and what the price is, and that's it. Do you know what I mean? So it could be empty bins. Do you see what I mean? And then what your price is for each household. Do you see what I mean, Mardelicious Little Babies? I mean, I'm not very good at maths, but I would say that, you know, you get enough houses now, there we are, and you prove who you are and everything clearly. You know, you don't just give your ka-ching herbal like that for nothing, you know what I mean? You want to see that, you know, it's going to get done. Well, you know, there we are. I should imagine, there we are, they can earn rather a pretty penny. Do you see what I mean? And everybody's going to be happy. Do you see what I mean? So the way I see it is, there's always, there we are, a solution. Do you see what I mean, Mardelicious Babies? I'm just saying anyway. But yeah, not nice to look at, Mardelicious Little Babies. I do feel sorry for the residents there, do you know what I mean? But they're clearly probably at the end of their tether, you know? Very sadly. Anyway, Mardelicious Little Babies. Now then, so this is I haven't advertised him for a long time. So I used to look at him mainly on our lovely BitChute, Mardelicious Little Babies, you know, that's no longer, we cannot see, you know, unless we get something else. I don't know what it's called. Is it a VPN or something? Okay, Mardelicious Little Babies is up to 65.4 thousand subscribers, Mardelicious Little Babies, okay? And it is capital S Sanity space number 4 space capital S Sweden. So it should read Sanity space 4 space Sweden. Okay, Mardelicious Little Babies. I haven't advertised him for a long time. the video should read, it's only over 6 minutes long, My Delicious Little Babies case, so it's not long at all, My Delicious Little Babies. And it should read, warning, don't watch this video if you're against C19, My Delicious Little Babies. So I'm just going to repeat that again for you, shall I? Warning, don't watch this video if you're against C19, My Delicious Little Babies, okay? Now then, so this is Sanity for Sweden, bless him, okay, not in that way, not in that way. And what he's talking about is, because throughout all of this, to be fair, he's been extremely vocal. Let me tell you, there we are, no skin on his birth race. Do you know what I mean? My Delicious Little Babies, with what he was done saying from the beginning of all of this chat. Do you see what I mean? My Delicious Little Babies, okay? And he was very much, for what he had to say, okay? Which, of course, that doesn't mean that everybody's entitled to their view. For myself, I feel extremely sorry and very sad, because I've met rather, let's just say, a lot of mankind, My Delicious Little Babies, where... some of them have even had the booster, so that would be 2 plus the booster. Do you see what I mean? And for some who I've met over the months and years after this putrid situation that was dropped on our country and other countries in the world, My Delicious Little Babies, well, for a fair few, they do not seem to see that there's anything wrong with this, My Delicious Little Babies. Oh yeah, we took this, we took the booster, we took, you know what I mean? So sometimes you can hear the frustration with others, My Delicious Little Babies, okay? The only thing that I do is I do my best to advise, and I just say, please try not to put anything else in your system again. That is the best advice I could give. Do you see what I mean, My Delicious Little Babies, okay? But, apart from the effers who pushed it, but my heart goes out to, mankind who clearly did not have any idea how serious, there we are, this was and still is, My Delicious Little Babies. Do you see what I mean, okay? But what Sanity for Sweden is talking about is he's talking about, it's to do with the birth rate, okay, My Delicious Little Babies. Now, there are other doctors over these, since the rollout of that, My Delicious Little Babies, I call it snake oil, okay, My Delicious Little Babies, because it is, there we are, literal, okay, in there. Okay, My Delicious Little Babies, is one of the ingredients, you know what I mean? Which should not be in anybody's system, in the different types of those. Okay, My Delicious Little Babies, okay? Now, the thing is, with Sanity for Sweden, because he's discussing this, he's basically said on his video, well, he has, he said, if you don't want to listen to the video, he says, then just switch off. Do you see what I mean, okay? Because he clearly just does not have any patience. Do you see what I mean, okay? I looked at a few of the comments, and actually, there we are. They're very positive, okay? So hopefully, Sanity for Sweden, I think his name's Stefan. Well, I've advertised him a long time, do you know what I mean? But I'm pretty sure his name's Stefan. He's basically saying it the way it is, okay? There seems to be a problem with, which I've known a long time anyway, to do with somebody who has had and somebody who has not, okay? And there's a problem with the birth rates, okay? My Delicious Little Babies, it's very serious, actually, okay? And there was a top doctor in Australia, I said this, oh gosh, long time back, months and 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 months ago. And and he had his license taken off him as a doctor because he was clearly, there we are, pointing things out now. Do you see what I mean? Mardlish babies, yes. So, yeah, and what Sanity for Sweden's talking about is that Mardlish babies, okay? So, I really just do not feel that. I mean, I know he gets frustrated. You know, well, actually, there's a fair few who can get rather frustrated, Mardlish babies, but you know, but generally he's a pleasant man on his videos. Okay, he talks about all different things. Okay, Mardlish babies, but yeah, he's clearly pointing out. There we are. What is the truth? But yes, so we draw a line there because to this day you will still get ones who genuinely believe that this has been a wonderful invention, you know, to be handed out to the majority of populations in their countries, Mardlish babies. You know, some you just cannot tell them any different. Very sadly, they refuse to see the wood for the trees. Mardlish babies, they really, really do, you know. Anyway, so that's that. So you're ticked off, Sanity for Sweden, bless. Okay, next one. Okay. Oh yes. This is our lovely, not in that way, not in that way. This is our lovely Alex Belfield, my delicious little babies, okay? And he's up to 333,000 subscribers, my delicious little babies, okay? On old YouTube. So it's capital A, Alex, space, capital B, Belfield, and then a hyphen, and then the rest is in capitals, my delicious little babies, the voice of reason. Okay, my delicious little babies. Well, I tell you what, this is banging, this is, because you know what? Because he's back now, my delicious little babies. Okay. In fact, I sent him a comment, you know, just to say thank you, because like I said, I'm trying not to send as many comments, okay, but our dear little Alex, not in that way, not in that way. Our dear little Alex, okay, has very sadly, you know, been somewhere else, okay, but bless his dear little soul. But he has, and he does look super duper well, okay, bless him. And he has managed to use that time to write 6 books, my delicious little babies, okay. So he's kept himself as busy as what he could, my delicious little babies. But nevertheless, you know, I am pretty sure that it would not be a very nice experience for anybody, my delicious babies, okay? Anyway, the sentiment, so I watched the video, you know, till towards the end. And I just put, you know, to dear Alex, you know, and blessings to you all. Do you see to me? And then later on, I had something pop up, and it was that dear, not in that way, not in that way. Our dear Richard Verbs, you know, oh, his dear little wife to be, Julia, okay? But Richard Verbs, and put thank you, because I put, you know, right, so I thought, well, hold on a minute. I thought because I'd sent, oh, anyway, not to worry. Anyway, well, I did apologise. I said, I'm extremely sorry. Do you know, I don't know how that went like that. But I have noticed when I look at a video, okay, and then when I look at, you know, because for my videos, okay, because you'll see the other videos that are saved there, okay, like up there, okay, my delicious babies. I'm just trying to explain it best way I can on YouTube. And then, say for example, if I clicked on my videos, okay, my delicious babies, then what would come up? There we are. It's completely something else, a completely different uploader. When I've clicked on my videos, my delicious babies, you know what I mean? It's really hard for me to explain, you know, but I'm hoping you're going to get me, my delicious babies. Anyway, not to worry. It's not the end of the world. Okay, it's just I've got to leave off for a bit, okay, because, you know, old YouTube, you know what I mean, stick me back on pause again, you know, so they're clearly not liking, you know, when I'm sending, you know, to some uploaders. Thank you, my delicious babies, okay? Now then, so our lovely Alex Belfield, I think he's, what's his thing? Is it at alexbelfield.com? I think that's it. And it's his own where he can say more. Oh, but it was so lovely to see him back. And you should have seen all of the mail, bless, that everybody wrote into him. Oh, it was fabulous. And you know what? And he responded to every letter. Look at that, my delicious babies. Look how kind. I mean, look at the kindness coming from both sides. I just think that was absolutely beautiful. But I was so pleased. I tell you what, because you know what, it's an old-fashioned saying, "My delicious little babies." It's just figure of speech. He makes the flipping effing cat laugh, man. Do you know, he's so flipping hilarious. He's a banging comedian. Do you understand what I mean? Okay, and he just says the way it is. But he's the same. He's got to be careful at the moment. You know what I mean? And on YouTube, so he's got to be careful what he says and everything. And he's still got to be careful what he says, because he said otherwise he will be asked to go back somewhere, my delicious little babies. Okay, but yeah, we're really pleased. We're so pleased to see you back, our dear Alex Belfield. Bless you, and your little doddy and your little family. Bless. Okay, so yeah, just sort of mention our dear Alex Belfield today. Now then, my delicious little babies. So there's only two more, and that's it. Now, you know when I said yesterday about that Mark. His name is, I wrote it down, in old YouTube, my delicious little babies, capital M, Mark, space, capital B, Bajerski. I'm going to spell that out for you, my delicious little babies. Bajerska. Okay, my delicious little babies. He has 195,000 subscribers, my delicious little babies, okay? On old YouTube, and his video should read, "I'm back." Yes, my delicious little babies. Now, I remember when I advertised Mark, bless him. He's a very, very, very super duper spiritual man. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? So he used to always be talking about everything spiritual, and he is going back to, back to that. But the point of all this, my delicious little babies, is that, with what was going on in the world and that, and, it's similar to myself, and I'm pretty sure others as well, my delicious little babies, because you're sticking to what you originally started your channel for, my delicious little babies, okay? And then you find yourself that with different events and awful things happening in the world, my delicious little babies, that you find yourself drifting off to what you was originally meant to be doing, my delicious little babies, okay? Well, poor Marcus, he had 7 days strike from YouTube as well, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I mean? So he's gone through it as well. Just recently, that's why, the video is only a couple of days old. He's just said, "I'm back." So, we've all gone through, there we are. This, it seems, my delicious little babies, and unless you just, do as you're told and just don't say anything, my delicious little babies, and then you can stay on YouTube to your heart's content, really. Do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies, can? But what Mark's made, like I said yesterday, he's made this special. You need to listen to the video, my delicious little babies. It's nearly 20 minutes long, okay? But yeah, I remember advertising Mark a long time. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? Well worth a listen, though. Well worth a listen. But he did say in that 7 days he managed to make, and he said he used his time happily. Do you know what I mean? And he felt, really, he felt very happy, actually, that he had those 7 days off, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? So quite possibly, maybe Mark needed a break, bless him. Do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies, okay? Well worth a watch. Now, finally, my delicious little babies, and sorry, I wasn't pointing at you, my little lovelies, because that's rude. Finally, this woman now popped up on my YouTube, my delicious little babies, and she's got 18,000 subscribers, my delicious little babies, and it's a capital M in the old space bar in old YouTube. Should anybody have any form of an interest, with the other videos, you may be interested, you may not. Midlife space capital A, Auntie hyphen capital C crisis. Okay, my delicious little babies. So it should read midlife space anti hyphen crisis. Okay, my delicious little babies. This is just over 8 minutes long, my delicious little babies. Okay, and it should read: the rules are made up, the system is rigged, and everyone is faking it. Okay, my delicious little babies. So I'm just going to read that out to you again, shall I? The rules are made up, the system is rigged, and everyone is faking it. Okay, my delicious babies, that's all my videos. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close my book because we need to go back to where we need to go back to. But please, I must just say that, you know, to anybody who I advertise, especially on a regular basis, I do always put a like. So I may not always put a comment at this moment in time. There we are, but there is a reason why. Like I said, do you see what I mean? Okay, because you know YouTube, they just like to do. There we are, these kind of things to myself. Do you see what I mean? Okay, and very sadly, I should imagine to anybody else who, you know, they want to keep in the box now. Do you see what I mean, my delicious babies? But I always put a like, and I must point that out. Okay, my delicious babies. There are a couple of channels that I found myself come away from, okay, because there's so much that you do not know what to believe. And getting back to dear Mexican as well, my delicious babies, okay, then I'll just finish what I'm saying, but what this woman was talking about. He said, you just do not, sorry. Yeah, because it is stumbling there, my delicious babies. There is a reason why, because you do not know what to believe now. And that's how I feel. So, and of course, the more and more and more, but the reality is, there we are, is we have to look at reality. Do you see what I mean? And the reality is that, yeah. And I should imagine that there are many millions going through this, my delicious babies, you know what I mean? Because, I mean, come on. For the stunts, there we are, that we've had played on us, there we are, for decades. And even in my beautiful, I love my beautiful, Mama Bear and my beautiful Nanny and Grandad Bear, do you know what I mean? Bears, well, I mean, even for themselves as well, you know, it seems to have gone through all the generations, my delicious babies. Do you see what I mean? So there's a lot that's got to be undone here. And it's like they try and make war like war is, that this should just be normalised. Well, no, it should not. But we also have to question. So I wasn't saying anything to be nasty, no, I wasn't. I'm open to listening. There we are, to many different videos. But if I feel like you've been played along, do you understand what I mean? And I just don't want to get roped into it. Do you know what I mean? That's just how I feel. My delicious little babies, you know what I mean? So I'm not saying that some wars have not been real. I'm not saying that. I would never say that, okay? Because, you know, you have had, over the decades, you know, war veterans, you know, who have ended up very poorly or PTSD, you know, many different things. So I'm not saying that. It's just that, I mean, like, what was it? And Mexican's latest video this morning as well, my delicious little babies, okay, so they were showing some sort of, that's just reminded me, where they were attacking, you know, to do with the Palestinian. It was only just a short, but there was somebody with a white cap on, you know, these caps, you know, that you wear, the white caps. Well, if it's all dusty and everything like this, and that, you know, I'm so sorry to have to say this, my delicious little babies, okay, but if it's so dusty and everything like that, and the line down didn't look, you know, in not that I would ever wish anybody to, but in a traumatised state, just never looked like that, and his cap was perfectly white, my delicious little babies. That's all I'm saying. But I was done watching our lovely Gemma O'Doherty and our lovely, and of course with him, but like I said, not in that way with anybody, and our lovely Phil Fake Nukes. There we are. Long time on BitChute. My delicious little babies, can for these years now then. So this is not just a 5-minute thing. I feel what it is as well, I feel it's like, how can I explain it? It's like, it's just trying to get you noddle around that ones can, you know, not in all cases, but ones can, there we are, stage things. My delicious little babies, do you know what I mean? That all is not as it seems. Don't get me wrong, there's been very realness that I've seen, which has been absolutely putrid. Do you understand what I mean, okay? Over these years now. But nobody can rule out this either, my delicious little babies. That's all I'm saying. And of course, what does it do? It plays on everybody's, there we are, immersions. Just like I heard on, what was it, Redacted this morning. That's all I'm saying. So I'm not, do you understand what I mean? I'm just saying I'm open to listening to all different. Do you see what I mean? But we have to, you know, spare a thought here, my delicious little babies. You know what I mean? It's like on Redacted. I lovely Redacted on old YouTube, my delicious little babies. What do they have? 2.69 million. My delicious little babies, okay. And our dear Richard Verbs, bless, and his lovely little wife to be Julie, okay, but she comes on some videos, not all, she has her own channel, because they have other channels, and I'll repeat that again, my delicious, he's up to 269,000 subscribers, my delicious babes, all worth a watch, anybody who I've mentioned, okay, of course, you know, there'll be a few that are just one-offs, you know, like that last video that I'll talk about in a moment, but what were they talking about? Oh yeah, something to do with Moscow now. Now, when I was listening to this video, my delicious little babies, what were my thoughts this morning when I was listening? I thought, hold on a minute. And then they managed to recruit, is it more military or something? Okay, my delicious. Can you see what's going on here, my delicious little babies? Okay, plus the fact that this has been going on, there we are, a long time, to do with, which I already know about, which is to do with, well, very sadly, harvesting of organs to do with soldiers, my delicious little babies. I'm so very sorry to have to say it, but that is the damn truth, isn't it? So, how do you know? We have to, I feel, I mean, I cannot make anybody spare a thought for something. No, I cannot, but we have to get real here. So did some of these soldiers over time, over years, this is all I'm asking. It's just, I'm asking questions, do you say? Yes, there would have been a lot who have been, there we are, very injured in a war, my delicious little babies, okay? But then for some, there could have been, you know, maybe the not as harmed and could have been cured and everything, but then they've had certain in the bodies removed, my delicious little babies, if you follow me. I know that this is very uncomfortable to hear this, my delicious little babies, and I do not mean that in a nasty way one bit. I would never, ever, ever do that. But we'd also have to look at, very sadly, these other areas, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I mean? It's just all it is, you know. I just feel that I'm, you know, and you're hearing things, you're seeing things, and of course you don't know what video is true, what video is not true. And then, of course, I mean, if you look at it, there's thousands upon thousands talking about this war. Do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies? If not that one, the Ukraine, Russian one, you know, and all this now then. But of course, you know, with that, getting back to our lovely Redacted, well, with that, that's just another way of getting ones to sign up into the army, isn't it, my delicious little babies? Do you see what I'm saying? Can you see how this is rocking and rolling? Do you know what I mean? Because, of course, there hasn't been so much as an uptake, which I do know already, long time, to do with armies. You know, they just cannot recruit enough because not enough want to join. They certainly do not wish to join. My delicious little babies, you see what I mean? But you got so many who are commenting on the war, and I'm just thinking, and what my thoughts is, I'm thinking, you know, why are you feeding monster now, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying, my delicious little babies, you know, but I really got where Dear Maxigan was coming from, because it is draining and it is flipping when you're having to hear badness every single day. I mean, we do have lovely things that go on, but for some reason, they only want to put out flipping nastiness. Do you see what I mean, Mardelistic babies? But like I said, I'll never forget that as well. And I've seen that on old BitChute. How long ago now? Months and months and months and months and months and months and months ago. When I seen they call them the posh cars, don't they? And they're all the Brum's wheels rolling into Ukraine, Mardelistic babies. So what was all that about? And not only that, but we have to ask ourselves, we go back to this again, why was there such this big thing to do with that nobody could get into Ukraine or near Ukraine to be able to say anything? You know what I mean? There was all them terrible things going on at that time, Mardelistic babies, you know what I mean? I would say that they were just trying to get rid of, there we are, evidence of other things, Mardelistic babies, there we are. That was my thoughts. Do you know what I mean? Because like, why would you bomb in certain and then not others? It just doesn't make sense. Mardelistic babies, do you know what I mean? We can say that about other parts in America and everything, and terrible things that happen. They bomb certain things and burn certain cars, but then other houses and certain trees are left perfectly intact. Do you know what I mean, Mardelicious little babies? Okay, well, it doesn't happen all on its own, does it, Mardelicious little babies? You know what I mean? So that's all I'm going to say, Mardelicious little babies. So I'm not here to hurt, offend, or upset you, or to depress you in any way, but sometimes, maybe some reason, we've all been there at some time, but, you don't always listen to something you're comfortable with, do you, Mardelistic babies? You know what I mean? It's just one, very sad. It's just one of those things, isn't it? But getting back to that last video, just very, very, very quickly, very briefly. Yeah, this woman looks like a middle-aged woman, bless her. She said, she'd be brought into the world, and in her case, she's been brought into the world to be a good little girl, to grow up, to get married, yeah. Anyway, it's all in just over 8 minutes, Mardelistic babies, okay? But she's got 18,000 subscribers. I've never seen her before, Mardelistic babies, but of course with anybody, but that'd be like a one-off, okay? I cannot see me not being awful, but I like to listen to my very other series, like my Iconic and Richard Verbs, because they're all lovely. Not in that way, not in that way. And our lovely David Ark, and and I like to listen to our dear Mark Devlin, and I like to, our lovely UK column. So I know what I enjoy listening to, my delicious babies. You know what I mean? I like to listen to very sick. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, okay. And of course our lovely Alex Barfield, blessed, you know what I mean? I'll tell you what, we'll have such a flipping laugh now listening to his videos, honestly, you know what I mean? They certainly, bless him, they certainly broke the mould when they brought Alex into the world. I mean that in a nice way. I mean it in a lovely way. Do you know what I mean? It's just he's got the gift of the gab. Do you know what I mean? Somebody could just like have you falling off your flipping chair laughing. He's like that. Do you know what I mean? Okay, but he doesn't mean nastiness towards anybody. He's just a comedian. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, so comedians come out with things, but they even went through a stage here, didn't they, Mardelistic babies? You couldn't even have a comedian now. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you go back decades ago, there was absolutely banging correct. If you go back decades ago, you could say anything, the comedians could say anything and you could just laugh about it. Do you know what I mean? And they laughed at themselves. Well, no, they wanted to take all that away. Do you see what I mean? And what my thoughts was, the reason why they, I reckon they did, was doing that is because... What is that old-fashioned saying? Oh, it's decades old. Never a true word said in jest. Do you know what I mean? So in other words, if you're larking around and you're having a laugh or you're having a jerk, you know what I mean? Well, I'll say a lot of cases, it's never a true word said in jest, but you're not meaning it in a nasty way. It's just with any comedian, there we are. They need the material. Do you know what I mean? So they, and really for an excellent comedian. And I do regard our lovely Alex Belfield, there we are, as being in that category. He's excellent. I mean, for myself, I wouldn't have any problem paying for a ticket and going to watch him. Do you know what I mean? Because I tell you what, I'd probably be flipping wetting myself, you know what I mean? For half the flipping that, mad to the stick babies. That's just through laughter, you know what I mean? Because that's what we need is laughter. But that woman there now, she said everything in that last video. She said everything like in just over 8 minutes, okay? I'm sure she has plenty more to say, but yeah. But what she's saying is no different, there we are, to what those of us who do know, there we are, no, okay? But you still got many others who still have not, very sadly, they haven't got it. Do you see what I mean? Okay, they're just not getting it. Do you see what I mean? Okay, it's like they refuse. There we are to come out of their comfort zone. Okay, Marzlish babies, and yeah. But then we look at the other side and we look at the positive, where ones are now. There we are starting to question, and that's all we can do, Marzlish babies. That's all we can do. But I'm just not so sure I believe things now. You know what I mean? Not like the way I used to. Do you understand? But this has taken a long time for me, there we are, to get to this stage, because I have advertised it. And for anybody who's been so very kind enough to listen to my videos, and, you know, thank you for the occasional comment, for the, you know, for the likes and for the views. But you've watched me for a long time, so therefore, there we are, you will know that I mentioned our lovely Gemma O'Doherty and our lovely Phil Fake Nukes. There we are, long time. And that was at least, it was about 2.5, 3 years back or something like this. Do you see what I mean? So this is nothing new. It's just, it's like feeding it through your noddle. Not that I'm, you know, brain dead, Marzlish. I didn't mean that in the wrong way, Marzlish. I didn't mean it like that, okay? Not that I'm brain dead, okay, Marzlish, the babies. It's just, you know, getting your noddle around that this could be happening as well. And everybody, including myself, is being made to believe that all of this is real. It's like when I heard on another video, I'm pretty sure it was our dear Gareth Ark, you know, on is it Iconic Tonight, where he was talking to somebody. I mentioned this months ago, and you don't need to go on our lovely davidicke.com to see his dear son Gareth's video. They're very good. Gareth Ark Tonight. That's what it's called, Marzlish baby. Sorry, dear Gareth, dear Jamie, dear David. I'm very sorry. Sorry, I had to just, you know, spare a thought then. I thought, well, I've flipping seen the video so many times I should flipping know. Do you know what I mean? What it is, I have that much in my noddle anyway. But that guest of Gareth said, that was months ago, said that there's something about that the Russians and the Ukrainian were playing football together. Now, if this is supposed to be wars, then why would that be happening? Do you see what I'm saying, Marzlish? That's all I'm saying. I'm just asking. And I asked the same question months ago. It just doesn't... It just doesn't sit right with myself. It doesn't gel with myself. It's just not making any sense. Okay? So I just don't know. And finally, I mean, this flipping, what is it? These blooming, I don't know, to do with that poxy flipping, putrid flipping Netanyahu. And Iran. Okay? Well, others have been showing years back with that putrid Netanyahu, and he still came out, there we are, with the same shirt then. Do you know what I mean, mad delicious sticker babies? And now we're in 2025. So, you know, there we are. We must question. That's all I'm saying, mad delicious sticker babies anyway. So I don't know how long this video will take. It's taking nearly a day to upload mad delicious sticker babies, okay? So, you know, so this may not be, I don't know, it could be tomorrow morning, or it could be probably, I don't know, about 5, 6, 7 o'clock tonight, I don't know. But anyway, but wherever you are in the world, whether it's morning, afternoon or evening, please have a super duper delicious time. You only get one life, my little honey bunny, sending peace, love, harmony and bright blessings to each and every one of you. And may your beautiful little selves and your beautiful little families all be fully protected. And thank you so very much once again for listening. I'm not here to hurt, offend, to upset or to depress anybody. You know what I mean? We've all had in our families. My dad's an ex-army man as well. Do you understand what I mean? So, you know, many mankind would have had experiences with anybody who's been in the Navy, which I've had as well in my family. Do you know what I mean? In the Navy and in Army and everything like this now. Do you see what I mean? Okay? But we also start looking at other things that we are as well. And I know it's uncomfortable, but, you know, but we really need to. But like I said, I'm not going to say that there isn't genuine, because there is, but I'm just saying there's something else going on here. There we are as well, and has been, there we are, for a while. Okay, my delicious babies, and the more and more, it's the more and more I'm feeling that way. Do you see what I mean? My delicious babies, okay? So again, this is a case of somehow needing to detach from things, and do you understand what I mean, okay? Because otherwise you just get sucked back in it. Do you see what I mean? And that's not somewhere where I want to go, my delicious babies. Anyway, so, you know, please have a super duper time. I hope that the weather is beautiful and wonderful and delicious wherever you are, okay? You just take care. Thank you so very much for even listening once again. Love ya. Enjoy yourself wherever you are. Goodbye.